Hello, welcome to Zigmatech Learning Hub. I will be your instructor for fine art. You can call it visual art as well, cultural and creative art. Now for this class, we are going to be taking our exercises from the ExamGuide app. Now if you don't have this application installed already in your device, I will advise you download this app in order for you to follow along this class. Now, ExamGuide is a leading educational app that helps students prepare adequately for exams, for various exams, such as UTME, post-UTME, WASE, GCE, KCPE, IJMB, JUPEB, Calbepedia, BECE, JSCE, NCEE, NECO, to mention but a few. You can download the app from our website www.examguide.com, or you can download it as well as using your Google Play Store. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to be updated on new videos as we upload. Now, if you're ready for today's class, okay, let's get started.
All right, welcome back once again and to Cultural and Creative Art. Now, this is the part 2 of utilization of local material. All right. Now, in our first part, we looked at weaving, and we talked about a lot of weaving. We talked about the utilization of local material. We talked about the tools and objects that is gotten from weaving, and locations and places where those things are done. We talked about the kind of weaving that we have, and then we looked at basketry. Now, in the course of this study, by the end of this study, we are now going to look at the materials and tools for basketry. And then we are going to look at the locations for basketry, and then the uses of what? Of basketry. And then we'll go further to explain the meaning of carving. And then we'll state the types of carving, and then describe the different materials for carving. So these and even more that we are going to grab by the end of the class. So I want you to sit back and follow through as we have fun in class. Now, there is something I want you to know at the back of your mind, to have at the back of your mind, that art most times is more of practicals than the talking. But however, for the course of your exams, I will appreciate if you can actually pay attention to understand first the concept and the principles before moving further. Now, let's look at the materials and tools for basketry. Now, mediums for weaving and basketry. Mediums for weaving depends on what material that is available in the people's environment. Meanwhile, that's why we call it local material, utilization of local material. Because for you to weave, you'd have to weave with what is found around you. So there is no way you want to weave and then you'll be weaving with something that is not around you. Then that will be quite difficult. In as much as, yes, thank God for civilization and technology, we have a lot of materials that are under our possession, but just put that at the back of your mind. Now, for example, the Hausas and the Fulani in the northern Nigeria use what? Damp and palm frond, and grass and raffia, and even straw for weaving baskets. But sometimes leather work are what? Incorporated into some of the baskets that is being what? Done by these Fulani and the Hausas, because of leather is in abundance around them. Now, the Niger Delta people are noted for cane weaving. Now, because of that is what they have around them, among whom are the Urobo, the Ibibio, the Wari people, and other parts of the Ijaw. Now, these people, they use cane to make some of this interesting work of art or household utensil. Some parts of the Igbo land and the Ikotepene can also boast of what? Tropical what? Climbing what? Reeds, and the rattan palm, which what produces the cane for what? For weaving. Now, the willow reed, the rush, the swap, the straw, the papyrus, the fiber, even the banana fiber, they also use them to weave, including the raffia, to mention but a few. All these are what you can use in making household utensils. Now, looking at the screen, you see this beautiful painted, basket and packer. And I don't know what this other one is, maybe for, to chase fly or something for market people. Now you see the different kind of material. Some of these things were made out of palm frond. Some of them are made out of what? The raffia or the cane. And some of those items were mentioned previously. All right. Now, the Yoruba-speaking area of the West weave their baskets and other related crafts with palm frond, which are readily available around them. Now the palm front is a blessing to mankind because nearly everything, like nearly every part of the palm front is useful. There is no part in the palm tree that is waste. From the kernel to the stem of the palm tree, to the leaf, to even the root. You see? So everything about that thing is so useful. So just like I said, you can use the kernel to produce oil. You have the palm kernel there, the seed. You can use it to do a lot of things. Cream. You have the leaf for the broom. You can produce sponge. You can produce wig. Even weaving materials. A lot of things can be gotten from the palm front. All right. Apart from the Hausa and the Fulani basketry and the cane basketry that are required, that requires the use of dry stuff or other colorants or paint. Now the combinant, the major tools for basketry is what is the shape knife. That's one of the major tools that is used for what? For basketry. Many tools can also be used, and you can as well create some of those tools as easy as can be with some of the materials you have available. You can use a knife, you can use anything that is sharp, to create. Even this cork, your wine cork, can actually be used as a tool for making, baskets. Now, the use of a burner may be needed too to achieve the desired, color that you want when you're making your basket. Now, baskets for smoking. Now, some of the uses of basketry, we use them to, to make for those of you that have visited some of these water sites area, you see they make baskets to smoke their fish. It's used to smoke fish on fire, because of how flexible it is. And sometimes we use the wire basket, the wire, which is the metal basket, to put it directly on the fire, and then before you place the wooden one on top of it, to smoke your fish and all that. Many require the use of pillars for cutting and pliers for cutting and bending of the wires during weaving. Young children could make a lot of money through basket weaving, especially in the village. Baskets come in various sizes and various shapes depending on the purpose or the use. Now let's look in depth. Let's take a good in-depth look at what some of the uses of basket. Now here are some of the uses of basket products. Now for one, for carrying farm produce like kola nuts, tomatoes, pepper, to mention but a few. Now from the north to the south, vice versa, and from the south to the north. So we use basket to transport, to carry farm produce. Now for drying of food items, I know of my grandmom, she has this basket in her kitchen. If you go to her kitchen, you see baskets hanged under. Now there are fishes and other things, she places under those things or inside those stuff to dry them and then keep them for what? For the rainy day. Now it is used to store grain, crops, and other food items. This is what baskets are used for. Now let's look at some other uses of basket. Now it serves as what? Wardrobe for children. Yes, so you can use it as what? A wardrobe. Most especially, there are some of these beautiful baskets you can use, if you're going for picnic, use it to pack your items, load your stuff for, to go out for picnic. Now children and age, especially the Hausa grass basket that has cover and sometimes look like a boss, can be used, as a wardrobe. Now baskets or basket weaving can also be used in producing cap and hats that are made to protect the head from the sun. Now for carrying ritual items in some communities, they use basket to carry ritual items in most communities where all these things are being done. They use the basket to carry some of their items. Now cane is woven and used in furnishing homes and offices. There are some offices that are purely cane, woven furnitures. Some body of coats are made from what? From the cane. So some of the cushions they have there, they're just made from the cane. So we use that, for weaving. Now let's look at what wire too in wire basket weaving. Now wire are for smoking of what? Fish, meat, and other ingredients in preservation. While smaller ones are used in burning incense in some ritual and private homes. Now you can actually use the wire baskets, to burn incense and any other thing you think you can use it for. Now cane basket can actually be used to make hamper. You know, when it's Christmas time now, you start seeing hamper, bags of hamper in front of shopping mall and supermarkets. That is the work of what? The basket. Now they are suitable for packing gifts to be given during festive and periods and celebrations. You know, you can use to pack gifts, pack your food, pack your snacks, pack your things, you know, both for picnic, like I mentioned earlier. Now, baskets are woven to serve as trap or snare for fish in some rivers. Now, they use it to serve as what? Trap, you know, to catch fishes, you know, or snail in some riverine areas. So these and even more that you can use with what? With your basket and with the weaving. That is why it cannot be overemphasized. It is something that technology cannot take away from us. It is something that we cannot do without. It is eco-friendly. It does not have any negative effect on our ecosystem. As a matter of fact, these are some of the things we should go back to save ourselves from this eco damage. You understand? What plastic has actually done more harm than good. But if you can go back to using all these objects, they are eco-friendly. When they get bad, they decay and then they become even good to the ecosystem, because that's where they came from, and they go back without causing any damage, as against the polythene, the polyester, and all that to mention but a few, you know, that stays for thousands of years inside the ground, you know, preventing water from getting in. So these are some of the major uses of the basket. And remember, I told you where some of these baskets are found. We mentioned a lot of places, you know, that we mentioned in the course of the study. Now let's look at what? Carving. Now this is a brief introduction of carving. Now, both carving and weaving are ways of reducing masses. Cutting is the process used to rough out the general form, and what? Carving specific forms on and surfaces. Now, if you watch, this is the stem of a tree, and then the artist was creative enough to incise the beautiful face of a pretty lady there. You see how creative that stuff is. Normally, they can actually use that wood for your regular firewood, but now the wood is now an expensive wood. It's a treasure on its own, because the time and effort, the creative ingenuity, even look at the dimple on the girl's face, looks so amazing. And you can buy that for $1 million. Yeah. All right. So that is the impact of what? Carving. Now let's go further and look at a little bit about carving. Now, although carving can be applied to cutting and production of relief work in any hard material, it is more commonly reserved for the decorative and the sculptural use of wood for this purpose. Now, imagine that. Look at that work. We call it a relief art. You see the time and the intricacy it took the creator or the artist to make that. Both the wrinkles of the man's hand, man, that work is well detailed. So if they can do that, you actually can. For those of you that love carving, you can increase your skill in carving. Carving in wood is one of the oldest form of art, but because wood is more prone to destruction and decay than stone. However, early specimen few early specimen have survived. Now, what I'm trying to say here now is, because of how porous or how prone wood is or are to destruction and decay, now we have fewer specimen of ancient carving, but that does not mean there were no ancient carving. There were a lot of masterpieces, that was done on wood, as against the popular ones we know as what? Stone carving. Now, that is a beautiful design of what? A carver trying to make a door panel. Now, carving in Nigeria is a popular art, especially in the south. Now, where wood is in variety of species and abound. Among the varieties of objects carved are house posts and door panel. Almost all door panel are in relief, while most modern carving are what? Freestanding carving. Now, almost all door panel are in relief, apart from the Chinese door we have now, But before now, almost all door panel, they are all relief work. Some of them, you see the face of Jesus Christ, you see him carrying sheep, Some of all these door panels, I don't know if they are common. They are no longer common now, all thanks to importation of things. But having said that, that is one of the essence of what? Carving. Now, the basic tools that is used in wood sculpture, in wood carving, to be able to carve any object, one needs carving tools. And some of those carving tools varies as the material you're carving on and the combination of both. Now, carving tools include, we have the saw, we have the chisel, we have the adze, we have the axe, we have the gouge, we have the steel scraper, we have the mallet, and then we have the bench, to sit down and carve, and even your vise to hold some of these things when you are carving. So now these are the tools. There are more tools. There is no way you're expecting me to mention, but these are the major tools, we have with respect to carving. Now, if you see, now this is the carving chisel. This is a set of chisels. Now, each of these chisels have their own work, have their own shape. They have exactly what they do. They don't do the same thing. Their nips and their mouth have different functions, and they function differently. Now, they also include different sizes of gouge. We have the ruffler, we have the wraps, we have the sandpaper, we have the steel wool or the iron sponge, we have the spinning stone. I even have oil, to shine your stone. That is when you're done carving. So you need the oil to brush and shine your stone for carving. Now, having said this, now these are the major, the major tools for carving. All right. So now I just went further to bring, some current handy tools that we use. Now, this is the knife. That's the cover. You need your brush. You need your glove. You need your squeegee. You need your set of boxes, and then you need your set of carving chisel to make this easy and fast. Now, the process of wood carving. First of all, whenever you want to carve anything, first you draw your design on the body of the work. You make your sketch, your initial sketch, you prepare your initial sketch. After preparing your initial sketch, you prepare the wood. While seated where carving is to take place. You get the wood and then you prepare the wood. Now, some wood comes with a lot of depth, so you need to brush them out and then prepare the wood. Sometimes you need to leave the wood to dry off completely, because if it is fresh, if you carve them, it might cause damage. But there are some woods that are friendly when they are fresh too, depending on the specification of such wood. So that is, for those of you that want to go into carving, those are some of the things you consider. Now, you transfer your sketch onto the wood that you want to carve, and then after transferring your sketch, then you carve, you start carving, like your carving commence with initial scooping up and using your adequate sizes of gouge, with the mallet to remove the unwanted parts of the wood. Now, that is exactly what the image you're seeing here explain. Now, first of all, the artist design or draw exactly what he wanted on the wood, and then gradually he started using his chisel and his mallet, to chisel out the unwanted parts of the work, for him to be able to produce this masterpiece you're seeing. Now, the next stage is the gauging process, with cutting away and the ridging between deep gouge marks, which results in a less rough surface. Now, definition of forms from the stage of gauging. After you've gauge out the places you don't want, you start defining forms. If you need to put an eye, you start defining the eye, then you start bringing out the forms, one step at a time. Now, more redefining, more cutting, more making use of relevant tools, to bring the work to its desired taste. So those are some of the procedure you consider while drawing. Now, if you see, this is a carver that carved himself in his workshop. Now, this is the full work of an artist, trying to produce, a masterpiece. So I just choose to put it here, to cushion the tension. Now, smoothing is the final stage. When the gouge marks become short and shallow. Now, smoothing, it is is gradual. You start smoothing and taking off the ones you don't want, and then roughing out the edges until it gets the finishing. Then you can now apply your color, on the wood, and then you polish, to get the French finishing with a soft clothes. All right. So this is, if you watch, this is the artist. He just drew the leaf on the wood, and then gradually he start bringing out all the details with his different carving chisel. Now, we have talked a lot about carving, and I want to believe you grab a lot from this section. Now, but before we go over to seeing what we've talked so far, or what we've discussed so far. I want us to take our time in your closet, get some of those materials and then try your hand in carving. You see, you try your hand in some of those things you've learned. We've learned basketry, we've learned weaving. It will be so bad that you learn these things and then you didn't try your hands, and then the more you practice these things, the more it stays with you. And for those of you preparing for your exams, I would advise you go over these videos over and over again. There are other videos too you need to go over and over again so that it stays with you. All right, haven't said that. Now, let's summarize everything we've learned so far. Now, the materials and tools for basketry was the first thing we talked about. And then we talked about the materials and tools. Then we also look at the location of basketry. We talked about the Hausas, the Southerners, the Edo, the Easterners, how they produce their own baskets and the kind of materials they use in producing the basket. We also talk about the uses of basket. The use of basket is too numerous to mention. How we use them to dry fish, how we use them as strap, how we use them as wardrobe, how we use them as a lot of things that were itemized during the course of the study. Now, we also went further to explain the meaning of carving. I told you carving is what? Subtractive form of sculpture, which is the act of removing the unwanted part of the holistic of a wood, it could be a stone or any object in order to create a desired masterpiece or a work of art. Now, we went further to state the types of carving. We have the wood carving, we have the stone carving, we have the ivory carving, we have the tusk carving, we have the bone carving, to mention but a few. Now, in the course of this study, we also described the different materials for carving, which I told us when I showed us some pictures of some of the materials that are used for carving. Now, we went further to break them down, in details, and I believe you grab all of that. Okay, so now if you have followed through this class, there is something I want us to do, which is Q and A. Somebody asks, what is Q and A? Simply means question and answer. All right, the first question I want to ask you is define carving. What do you understand by the word carving? I've sang that as a song over and over again, so it should not be new to you. So you should define it effortlessly. So what is carving? Yes, I can hear you. Correct. You're very, very correct. That is if you say it is the removing of the unwanted part of an item in order to create the desired, form. It is a subtractive form of sculpture, and it is what? Interesting. All right. So now the one thing I want you to know, the second thing I want you to answer is, I want you to list 2 tools for carving. To list 2 tools for carving. What are the 2 major tools for carving you think you know? Yes. Chisel, mallet, knife, sandpaper, finish oil, paint, brushes, etc., etc. All right. Thank you so very much for being with us. All right, now let's go over to our exam guide where we'll try our hands on some of the questions that we have from WEAC, NECO, including BECE. All right, we are in the magic world of ExamGuide, a place where we test you to know how far and how prepared you are in your exams. All right, so now, as the routine goes, first you check the topic, which is cultural and creative arts. You check it, and then we click on random, we get random questions, and then you select your topic of interest. And for the topic of interest we did today is craft. And on that craft, we also talked about crocheting, because we are talking about utilization of local materials. And then apart from that, we also looked at weaving, and then we also talked about the leather work. Maybe in subsequent class, we'll also look at leather work. All right, so now you click OK, and then let's get started. Okay. So which of the following is used to make paper pulp workable? Okay. Now that is a kind of a question that is not really kind of related to what we're doing. But however, let's just see this one and then see question 3. Now, which of the following is not a local craft? Which of the following is not a local craft? A, batik. B, cane work. C, calabash carving. D, nano sign or neo sign. And then E, tie and dye. Now, common sense will tell you tie and dye is a local craft. Calabash carving, well, that's exactly what we talked about now. Cane work is what we talked about now. And then basketry, batik, we talked about that in our previous class. So they are all local crafts apart from new sign. So if you choose new sign, you are very, 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 very correct. Now the process of cutting and treating leather. Okay, I'll think maybe we'll leave this in our subsequent class because that will be the next one we'll talk about is the leather work. That's what will be the one we'll talk about. So let's just look at this other one and then we'll try our hands on it. Okay, now question 8. Most local crafts are dash dimensional in nature. Most local crafts are dash dimensional in nature. A, 1-dimensional. B, 2-dimensional. C, 3-dimensional. D, 4-dimensional. And E, 5-dimensional. So local crafts are usually how many dimensional in nature? Did you say 2-dimensional? If you say 2-dimensional, you are wrong. The answer is 3-dimensional. So it is 3-dimensional work of art that the local craft falls into.
Thank you for participating in today's class. You can practice more questions using the exam guide. Now the app scores and give a detailed explanation of all the questions at the end of your practice test. Now you can learn a particular topic of interest with different modes like study mode, mock mode, and practice mode. It also have other features that make learning fun. Now it is a must-have for all serious students. Download the app from www.examguide.com if you don't have it yet. See you in the next class. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and then share this video to anyone you know that would benefit from it. Thank you and bye-bye.